Amazon's cloud gaming service could arrive next year. Pokemon Sword and Shield have become the fastest selling Switch games to date. The Pokemon Company is filing a lawsuit against leakers. And Google Stadia promotes a gender neutral controller. But first, is cloud gaming really where we want to go? This is Arcadian Insight. Okay, welcome to episode number 39 of Arcadian Insight. So today, this is going to be a conversation that I think has been coming for a while now. We kind of previewed it in last week's episode just because we've been talking so much about Stadia's launch. And with the release of Stadia on November 19th, I feel like the gaming world as a whole was reminded that cloud gaming, while it's a very, very cool idea with high potential, is just not quite ready yet. And we talked about this last week and the week before, but the latency issues, the 4K not looking like 4K, which may be the biggest issue for me right now, and even just reports of Chromecast overheating. It just seems like everything isn't working the way that Google thought that it would. But with all that being said, most people seem to be in agreement that cloud gaming is the future. And we've said that a lot of times on this show. Dave, I think I could probably quote you exactly as saying that in last week's episode. We could probably run a quote of Dave saying cloud gaming is the future. I think we can all agree. And I think that we all think that it's probably going to work as intended at some point. If you don't believe me when I say that, especially with the latency issues, just look at all the companies beginning to take major investments into this exact idea. So we have Stadia getting into it. Amazon is reportedly working on their own cloud gaming service to release sometime in 2020, which we're going to talk about later. We already have Sony's PlayStation Now, and Nvidia has been testing GeForce for years. And now we have Microsoft xCloud, EA Project Atlas, Nintendo Switch streaming, and even Verizon and Walmart have been reported to be getting into the action. Cloud gaming's coming. I feel like whether we want it to or not. But I don't think that means that we can't have a discussion about it and whether or not it's good for us or the consumer. So is this something that we want?
Do you know how weird this sounds right now? Just from what you're saying, like how many different companies are getting involved in cloud gaming. Obviously, this is like a direct parallel to, streaming television shows like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Video, all those providers for it. And maybe one thing, I don't know if you want to jump into it right away, but I can already see it happening, this situation where certain companies get the rights to certain games, just like Netflix gets certain, rights to show certain shows, movies. Hulu, you gotta diversify your cloud gaming stream is what you're gonna. I can see this going towards I like these games. I mean, how is this gonna break down? It seems messy.
It's exclusivity and fragmentation to the maximum.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what everybody hates. Exclusivity. It's like this big bad word. That's why the Epic Games Store, you can't talk about it because it buys exclusives, right? It can't be done. But the thing about Epic is it actually helps developers by giving them a better deal. With streaming, devs are going to get fried. Look at what Spotify did to the music industry. I mean, artists make no money. If you're not the best artist or in the top 10 of artists, you cannot make a dime. So it's exclusives without helping devs. It doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah, what's that mean then? Music artists, they go out and do concerts and things like that. Or all games have to kind of be geared towards an esport where you can host a league or have some kind of revenue outside of just game sales. Or I guess I don't know I'm sure what do game sales look like at that point. I mean, right now that with the Stadia, I mean, you're still paying full price for the game as it is. Is that always going to be the case? I imagine in the future they'll probably stream to you a monthly service, limited, hourly access to certain games or whatever that looks like.
Well, or they could pay the developers based on your playtime, which I can definitely see coming 100%. And all that does, I think all that does is move the industry into a position in the way that it's already going with games that are very, very clickbaity, They look good, they're polished. You
Hmm.
know, that's not the issue. They look great. When you see the trailers and the previews, like you want to play them, but they're lacking substance. They're bloated. The mechanics are simplified, right? Like this has all been happening for like the last 15 years. It's all been rolling this way. And I think that like moving to the cloud is the final nail in the coffin. It's like, hey, fuck the art form. Let's make these games as clickbaity and bloated as we can. Take them because we need the playtime because we need the money. And if it's going to be this like art piece that can't bring people in, that doesn't look flashy up front, well then it doesn't matter how good it is because you can't make money on it.
Mm. Well, I guess like in a hypothetical scenario, and you're saying, all right, so this is all completely hypothetical, and you're going to put out a game that
Yeah,
is, you're going to generate revenue off of it based on how much people are playing it, how many hours they're sinking into it. Um, doesn't that seem really beneficial to a game with a lot of longevity or like staying power? Like, I think like Skyrim, a game that's probably still being played today and huge hours. Minecraft, obviously another one. Things like that, where this disproportionate revenue for it. Whether, I mean, they're great games. They still are. I mean, where's the incentive to make anything different than something you can sink a ton of time into? So whatever that looks like, it's the online aspect of video games right now. There's just going to be a huge like multiplayer aspect. Maybe is what everything's going to be geared towards. Where we're gonna maybe completely miss out on a game like Jedi Fallen Order that I don't believe it has any multiplayer aspect to it. It's just a single player experience. It's relatively short. Today's standards, what the people are completing it in like 9 to 10 to 15 hours at most. That kind of game just doesn't seem maybe viable in this hypothetical climate that might be upon us with cloud gaming.
yeah, and that is hypothetical. And I think just to move away from that conversation a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, and it is super scary because I think you're absolutely right. But I think like my main concern in this whole conversation is the loss of consumer control, right? Like we already have loss of control with the digital downloads of games. They can be taken away from you. We've talked a lot about like renting games like League. You know, you don't really actually get to buy anything, like you're just renting a license to play them. This also takes that aspect to the max. And that's what I'm super afraid of. I think just because again, it's like the final move. Yeah, we've been trending in that direction. Everybody already knows it's going that way. Everybody like seems okay with it, but are they going to be okay with it when there really is potentially in the future, a long way in the future, no other option except for cloud service models?
I mean, not even like just talking about cloud, but I think like we've already seen the shift from like people making money from or companies making money and from actually selling the games, and it's more now about like microtransactions. And because think about it, like a lot of games, there's a lot of games like you don't pay to download anymore, like a lot. League, Fortnite, there's a million of them. And I think you're already kind of seeing like a shift away from like trying to like make your money from the actual selling copies of the games, and you're more worried about the microtransactions or some other alternative like esports. Like I think that's going to be a big mover going forward is revenues, instead of coming from actually selling the games, it's going to come from esports, whether it be through sponsorships or TV deals or streaming deals or stuff like that. I think like the industry, you know what I mean? Like the way they make money is just changing and shifting from like the old traditional means of like selling hard copies of a game.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely seeing that right now. Like GameStop is probably going to be gone within the next 5 years. Wouldn't you say? I mean, you can tell they're
Yeah,
just
I
like
mean,
always hemorrhaging. Like they're always
yeah,
clearancing out like
their
stupid shit
share
in their
prices,
stores. I
yeah,
don't know if you've
their
been
share
there.
prices are like going way down. But it's
Mhm.
like really weird. And at least in like Pittsburgh area, there's fucking GameStops everywhere.
Yeah, there are.
Mm-hmm.
They're like one every 5 miles. I don't know how the fuck they stay open or make any money.
No, they're
No.
rebranding. They're becoming the new hangout.
Is that
What's
true?
what's
Changing
that?
all their stuff to like rec rooms and like gaming stations and everything else in there.
Oh, so you
Like
go
most
like
of these
chill with
stores
the people.
are, yeah, but most of these stores are like leasing spots in these malls, right? So how
Yeah.
can they remodel a whole like the GameStops near Wolf and I, like, they could never do that. So how would they, like?
Oh yeah, they wouldn't
doesn't
have the
make any sense,
space,
dude.
right?
Yeah.
Well, we just did the reporting that they lost like $450 million last year. I think we talked about that like 3 months ago. So yeah, I mean, they're obviously hurting for cash.
You know what I think is really weird about the whole cloud gaming thing is that all this popped up the moment Stadia came in the limelight. You know, I mean, I'm sure there was stuff here and there, but like,
Yeah, there was stuff.
you
here
know,
and
it's
there.
like, you know, all of a sudden it's like a big news. Like these articles start popping up next
Yeah,
year.
and I
You
think
know,
that
keep a lookout because this one just failed already. You know,
it popped up on our radar, like the consumers' radar and like the journalists' radar, because it's starting to get like more and more traction. But like this stuff has obviously been in play for like who knows how long, honestly. Like I feel like there's a lot of things that they're working on all the time and like competing with other companies to make first, which is probably why Stadia came out so early. Unfortunately, it got smoked. It's probably going to fail. But
not
it tried to beat Amazon, which I guess was smart. I mean, I don't know what's smarter, coming out early and trying to be the first brand, or the first major brand. I mean, there were other brands too, but like the first major brand, or waiting.
Gone for first mover advantage, right?
Yeah.
That's to try to get the people and like sucked into their platform before the other ones come out.
not
Which
to re. Go ahead.
could work, right? But it seems like a combination of the product not being fully fledged out, like fleshed out and like ready to go, and like just like the lack of technology and infrastructure to support it, kind of like to me eliminates the first mover advantage. Like it's just not, if it's not ready, is it really that big of an advantage, right?
Well, not to rehash points that we already made last week, but like Wolf was saying last week, is the ISPs have too many fingers in this, in my opinion. Like unless they're gonna, you know, there's something come around the bend that we don't know about, or you know, like what are they gonna do? They're gonna have to make deals with all these ISPs, you know, and there's a lot of them that are just, you know, I guess you could call mom and pop. Like I know that Armstrong isn't a huge ISP, you know what I mean? So how are they going to get this to everybody?
What does 5G do to that?
Well, that's a mobile service, isn't it?
Is that, I mean, that doesn't do anything to, well, I thought that was like a capability to like,
well,
you would
5G is on
have the
routers.
internet, like basically like every time that I hear people talk about it, like they're moving from like the big cell towers to having like towers every like 60 fucking feet, like everywhere that you are in populated areas. And I thought that, I mean, maybe it is just mobile, like maybe I have no understanding of this at all, but I thought that it was so that you could have like internet and like smart technology like all around you and all interconnected like at all times.
It's going to
That's
turn
how I
itself
always
gay,
hear it.
though.
Oh, is that true?
Well, didn't we have a friend of ours saying how they're giving off like massive amounts of, you know, radiation? I mean, just in that really like immediate area to it. Like you don't want to get next to these 5G boxes, but
yeah, but they're like everywhere.
well, you have to climb up a pole to get to them. You're probably going to be.
Oh,
okay.
you mean like right?
You got to
physically,
yeah,
like right next to them. Okay.
You don't want to be standing next to one for very long, is my interpretation of it. But like Dave was saying, that first mover thing, maybe you know one pro for this first mover idea is that like my previous point there, there's obviously going to be some competition between all these different providers of cloud gaming, just like there is with Netflix, etc. Stadia provides a controller for it. You know, you have the Chromecast. I imagine they're probably going to compete, you know, exclusively for games. Do you really want to have like, you know, you can have like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney all on the same box, whatever television. It's not cumbersome. You're going to have like 10 controllers laying around so you can play your 10 different streaming things. People are going to be like, oh, well, I bought Stadia, like even though yada yada is better, I have the controller for it. I don't need like 6 controllers that I can't do anything with, kind of thing.
I think it's going to come down to I think like you said, like in your first point on this show, I think it's going to come down to what service can get the best games. It's really going to come down to pricing and like who wants to throw the most cash at it. Probably.
Yeah, how expensive
who can buy like the Halo of the next generation? You know, and who can have that for 5 years because they win.
Not that anybody wants Halo anymore.
Well,
Any of those big companies could do it though, like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple,
yeah,
like any of those companies could afford it.
yeah,
And same thing for two. I think Amazon has a little bit of an edge just because of like how popular Twitch is and like the integration that could be potentially with that too, you know? I think I think that like Twitch having the Twitch platform like established will help Amazon move into that space, in my opinion.
yeah.
Think
Let's
about
let's talk about the companies that are jumping into this space: Google, Amazon, Walmart, Verizon, EA. They're already in gaming, but I'm going to throw them in anyway. Like these big names, like yeah, they have a lot of cash, they have a lot of power, they have a lot of resources, but like these names scare the shit out of me. I don't want them anywhere near gaming. Yeah, like could they make or they may be the most well equipped to make something like this work? Sure. Like I will give that fact. But like does that mean that I trust them with like any of this data or this service or like care for the art form? Not even a little bit. I feel like they're the worst companies to take this stuff over.
Yeah, ISPs are already horrible.
I can see that. What the Google the article on oh, I don't want to get too far ahead here, but that controller, what the one of
Yeah,
the
the
like the
gender
lead,
neutral.
yeah, was
Yeah.
that the lady for it? Like I searched her. She's
Yeah.
some
The design
and
director.
yeah, of Google, and all the pictures of her, she's wearing the Google Glass, and it's just like it's so funny. It's like such a reminder, like how bad they have all this money, but how bad they can, kind of fuck up and jump the gun on technology. They're really maybe that's a case against this early adopter thing. Maybe Google shouldn't be the ones to lead the way on anything.
Well, it just shows me like when you see all these companies like gearing up for this, like you know that like all of the big CEOs and CFOs are all sitting around like, oh my God, look at all this money that we can make if we make a good streaming service. They're all thinking the same thing. Only the biggest players can do it because no one has the infrastructure to get it done or the money. Not even Google, apparently. So they're all just going to shoot for this because whoever wins is going to make $1 billion a day. And like they don't give a shit about video games. They don't even know, they've never even played one. So like it just sucks. It's like exactly where I didn't want to see the art form go. And it's going there like super heavy corporate, like within like, 5 to 10 years. Like the most corporate thing ever.
Yeah, well, I guess the question is like I agree with you like how like those big companies like that getting involved sucks because they're going to be more worried about, creating wealth for their shareholders and themselves rather than provide good games or a great experience. You know what I mean? Like you would you would like to think that providing a great experience and good games and all that would like make you richer, but like we all know that like they can still make a lot of money without providing you the best possible quality. But I guess the question is like these platforms, like are small developers still going to make sweet games to go on these platforms or not? You know what I mean? Like I think that's a question too. Like if smaller developers or even bigger developers are still making great games, does it really matter if Google is the one that's providing you the ability to stream it?
I
Mm.
think they would continue to make games as long as the deals were okay to get onto the service, right? It's like,
Right.
can I, if I'm a small publisher or a small dev, can I make a game for 3 years with $2 million in capital? If there's a huge risk that no one's going to see my game, and that the dev splits, like the rev splits with these services aren't good enough, you know, I think it's all going to come down to that pricing.
I was looking through here. The Steam, oh, Steam Cloud Gaming. Um, if I think anybody has, we talked about Amazon having a leg up on people just because of like the Twitch service that they provide, and I'm sure they have a lot of information to go off from that to, get an idea what it's going to take to make a good cloud gaming service. But whoever can I feel like either get on with Steam, or if Steam can actually pull ahead and make their own. I feel like they're the only ones that have like a snowball's chance in hell here, just with the way that Like you guys were talking about like the quality of games, what kind of games make it on there. For as much as we talk about like the Epic Game Store and so how we like the competition and things like that, I generally do like the layout of Steam as far as not how it looks and things like that, but how they allow like the indie development games and things like that on their platform. And if you had a streaming service that was similar to Steam, just its library and storefront and stuff like that, I think that would be totally acceptable.
Yeah, Steam has like a leg up because they're the only company that like PC gamers trust. I've been thinking a lot about why that even is. Like back to our conversations about Epic versus Steam and just all this stuff. And I don't think that it's anything that Steam has done super well. I'm not even like a really big fan of their games, to be honest. Like I don't think that I've ever really played a game by Steam or Valve and been like, oh, I really like this. It's never really happened. I'm not even a big Half-Life guy. I know. I'm just saying. But like, I think it's because they never do anything. Like they don't roll out like all these services and like all this stupid shit to try to get more of your money. I think it's more like what Valve hasn't done with Steam than what they have done with Steam. I don't know if there's any cadence to that, but like as I view it and look at it further, I really think that that's the case.
Maybe
it's that they like haven't sold you down the river, and they could have. They were the only game in town for a while. Like I don't know. I feel like they really could have raked you over the coals if they wanted to, because like EA would have, and like Google would have. But like Valve did not do it.
Like pay for access to it and stuff like that.
They could have done whatever they wanted. Yeah,
they could have got.
I don't know what that would have looked like, but
monthly subscription to Steam.
Sure.
Get some stupid ass free games every once.
Sure,
in a while.
Pay to increase your download speeds.
Yeah, there you go. Take notes, Valve.
Yeah, and like not to get like too far off the subject, but like it's a little bit off topic, but it's kind of still relevant. Is like, especially with these big providers, there needs to be like stricter rules about like protecting your personal data and your privacy. You know what I mean? Like the amount of data like Google collects from you and like uses and Facebook and everything. I understand that you like accept it by like agreeing to the terms, but it's kind of bullshit that they can just like take all your information and monetize it. And it's, you know what I mean? As we keep evolving into cloud stuff, it's only going to get worse.
Well, look how much shit YouTube's in now for taking all the data on kids.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But like they shouldn't just be like pissed about kids. Everybody should be pissed about themselves. Like, you know what I mean? We should be mad that they do it to everybody.
Yeah, your choices in life shouldn't be like A or B, like a completely like binary choice. Do I use technology and get like super fucked and like everybody sells all my data, or do I like go live in the woods somewhere? You should have like some middle of the road option.
Right.
And right now it feels like there really isn't one.
I could not agree with you more.
Is it really that? I mean, I know I guess like the premise of it is shitty, but like how does it affect?
So I listened to that podcast a few months ago, and I bought the book Zucked. I got it over here.
Got this
by Roger McNamee. Oh, let me grab this.
So why is this a bad
sorry,
thing
audio only. I mean, it's been a while since I've read this, and it's been a while since I've listened to the podcast. But basically, like everything that like Google and Facebook do, it's to collect more data on you and like to build a bigger profile. Like Google Maps, like was not for you to travel. I mean, it's great, but it's like they just want to know where you are, what you like where you go, what times you go, so they can sell you things.
Yeah, like
same with Google Glass. Like they wanted to see like exactly where you were and who you hung out with and like what you were buying and like where you hung around, so they knew where you were and what you were buying. Like every product, and same with Gmail. Like they've been like every email that you send, like they read it, they know who you talk to, they know like what you're interested in. Like it's all like to build this profile, and like it's the amount of money that they make off of it is so much higher than like anything that they've provided you. It's almost like ridiculous, and like that's really the point. It's like, and like on the flip side of that, like I don't want to like go down this road too much, but basically they can show you targeted ads, things that they think you'd want to see. So like I don't really like that because like they're selling to you when you're on the internet. Like when you search something on Google and I search something on Google, we get different results because they show you what they think you want to see and they show me what they think I want to see. That's not good. And that's also like that also is like a big reason for the political divide in America, because they're showing people on the left like what people on the left want to see, and they try to give you more extreme content, and the same with the right. And they do that for like everything, and it's like really, really fucking terrible for society. But that's it. I'm done. It's like really bad on all fronts.
Yeah, I mean, we could have like a whole episode
Yeah.
talking about that, which I think wouldn't be the worst idea either.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
Sure. No, thank Roger McNamee. Don't thank me. But I highly recommend that podcast. It was the Sam Harris podcast, and it was his episode with Roger McNamee. It was like a few months ago, but it's great.
Yeah, now I want to talk about Sam Harris because I was watching some Sam Harris, but we should probably get back to...
Yeah, anyway, let's talk about, like, I think another reason why I'm a little bit bummed out about cloud gaming, and if it is the only game in town in a few decades, the elimination of the secondhand market. No more reselling games. You can, like, if you don't own a game, right, you can't like sell it somewhere else or get it somewhere else. You can't refund anything, right? Like, you're just kind of privy to whatever's on the service at that time. If that service gets rid of one of your favorite games, I mean, that's too fucking bad. You can't play it.
No, I mean, G2A lets you do that.
I don't want anything. I mean, I know people use G2A, but people get, I know people personally that gotten burned on G2A. I think that's a scammy kind of.
Well, I mean, G2A wouldn't exist anymore. Is the thing? Right. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that wouldn't be. You wouldn't have that option anymore.
If you don't walk into a game,
hypothetically,
you don't buy a game and like go home and open the case and it's empty, and they're like, "Sorry, dude, you didn't pay the $3 for the protection."
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
What they did with Fallout 76.
Yeah, but you can't. Well, yeah,
true.
Now we're splitting hairs.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, I'm contradicting you.
Where were we at? We were saying that.
No, that's all I was saying. I was just saying that that's a huge con that I see. Like, no, you can't refund anything because you don't own it. Like, you can't. There's no secondhand market. Like, there's no modding. It's like every ounce of control that you have as a consumer, what little control you have left at this moment, like, that could all be like just completely snuffed away from you.
I'm glad you said that. The modding aspect of it, I think that's where it hits home with me the most. I love to mod just about every single game I get my hands on. It's like my favorite part of just about like any game that comes out. And the idea that what modding will look like in the future, I imagine that I mean, there's no Stadia. I can't envision a way that they're gonna hand out modding tools for the video game. We're gonna download the game like on your PC at home or something, or and work with it there to make a mod. But it's gonna turn into the what was that? Was it Skyrim and Fallout, where they were selling like the add-ons and stuff like that, or the add-ons, the mods and stuff like that. I mean, it's
like the workshop or the
right.
I don't know.
I mean, that's the only thing I can see, and I would be really disappointed if everything moved to like a cloud streaming service. I don't think that's going to happen, but
yep. Well, and even with mods, I mean, look at like the trends of the greatest new games that we've gotten and the new genres that we've gotten, like battle royales, MOBAs. That's auto chess. That's all from like user mods.
Yep.
I would almost say that user mods have had more innovation in gaming than anything else in the past like 10 years.
Yeah, bro.
Maybe that's too far back. I don't know if I don't know if I want to stick to that statement or not on that timeline.
Wait, how long?
You take those away. I said 10 years.
10? No, yeah, it absolutely is. Fucking.
You think so?
Longer,
okay.
Yeah.
15, baby. I'm going 15.
Well, that's where the MOBA genre came from fucking a Warcraft 3 mod, Dota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was well over 10 years ago.
Same with auto chess.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's like all we play.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I was reading that battle royales did too, but I couldn't find like exactly where that originated. Minecraft. I shouldn't say couldn't find. I didn't feel like looking for it. I was tired and I didn't care, so I didn't look at it.
What'd you think?
Minecraft, I think.
There's a battle royale in Minecraft.
Really?
I think it either stemmed from Minecraft or Arma 2. One of the two. I think it was Minecraft.
That's funny that Minecraft was... I didn't even know that was even a contender for the battle royale.
I mean, I'm sure there was some goofy IP like 15 years ago that was somebody could, call up but as far as I know, it's Minecraft. But I didn't know that either until I read an article about it.
So I don't want this show to just be like a completely shit on cloud streaming. Although I really, really don't like it. I think I said like in the last show, it's like the worst thing ever for the art form of video games and the consumer. And I do believe that. But I'm sure there are some pros to this thing. Maybe if you guys help me think of them, I'm sure there are some pluses. One for sure is the fact that a lot of people that wouldn't have access to play some really good games, they couldn't get the hardware, or maybe they're not from a very affluent family, like they get access to video games, and that's a good thing. So that's one.
Well,
Right. Well,
Can I-
yeah, like the
can I counter that? At least
Yeah,
in its
sure.
current iteration right now.
I wish you wouldn't, but you're.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But this is one of the hardest sticking, the biggest bugboos I got with this cloud streaming service right now is that
Yeah, go.
who the hell is it for? Because the idea that you need this like ultra internet and this really stable, great environment, yada yada. You need the Chromecast Ultra, which isn't particularly cheap. What it was like $130 for the Founders Edition. You could get an Xbox One for $150, the digital version of it. You're going to spend the same amount of money on the games, whatever. In its current iteration, it doesn't make any sense to say like, yeah, it's for the people that can't afford the hardware or something like that, because it obviously isn't for those people, because they're not. It's not geared. They're not going to have the internet to do that. They're not going to have, I don't know, the additional funds to buy all the games or something. It's not like it's
at least not right now. At least not right now. Yeah.
with the current infrastructure, I agree with you. But I think the ultimate goal is that the infrastructure does improve, that you're not going to need as much hardware to do, you know what I mean? It's going to be more about the internet connection and the infrastructure rather than the actual hardware.
Yeah. 10 years from now, sure, it'll probably make a whole lot of sense. Like,
could you imagine just being in like a competitive shooter on that?
Not right now, no.
I couldn't even imagine being on a competitive shooter on anything, to be honest with you.
Like, it sucks right now, you know what I mean? Just between everybody else's input.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to expand on that point a little bit, like the ability to play anywhere and like the seamless gameplay from like one device to another, I think is a pretty good pro.
Yeah, it is.
There's a reason why they use LAN in tournaments, you know? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Your home setup is going to be infinitely better if you're going to, even if you're going to argue like that you can move this product around, which is nice. Like, oh, I was playing on my phone and then I went to the other room and playing on the TV, and then I was back on my computer, and then I was, outside walking my, taking the dog out. And I was still playing out there too. Like, even if you like did your own like home setup, like off your own, server off your own computer, it's going to be better than like input time than what, Stadia is offering you.
I mean, that's kind of like, okay, when you say it like that, like that's almost like a bad thing too, though, because people are going to abuse it so much, and they're going to be like literally playing video games all day, every day, like no matter where they are in their house or where they're going. And like
5G.
I can't think of like really a worse thing that I'd want to have happen to somebody than that.
So how do we give this any perks? Like, we're still putting it down.
Well, no, I mean there are perks. It's just like that's still a pro. It's just that it can be abused by people.
Yeah,
besides convenience, name another one.
I think another thing that is definitely a pro is not having to download things. Like, you don't have to download something. It just
Yeah, I guess
it is. I mean, people do care. People do care about that, though.
I don't know why.
We don't.
Right. I'm just.
And I don't know why people do. People do care about that.
I'm just saying, not downloading and having internet speeds and infrastructure that can like just, avoid the downloading, and you just like are doing it live and streaming it like that. I think that is definitely a pretty large pro.
But
here's a perk.
Oh,
I got one. So like eventually, it said that Google wants to use Stadia and kind of merge it with YouTube, and Amazon wants to do the same thing with Twitch, so that like when you're streaming or you're making content, you can be a lot more interactive with your viewers and like be more like real time. I don't know what that would look like. It's actually like I'm having trouble grasping.
Yeah, but a lot of streamers prefer latency when they're playing in a competitive environment too. I mean, if it's like an IRL or a VOD or just chatting, all that shit, fine, that works. But look at how
they could like have you jump into the game with them and like have like live comments, and like it's kind of like that already, but I'm sure they could make it better.
I like the idea. They were saying they were just going to provide like a link or even like game developers, we're gonna be like, hey, try out this little like snippet of our game, or like streamers play, and he's like, man, that boss or whatever is crazy. I got this. He's just playing like Dark Souls. I got this build for it. Like, you think you could beat it? And he throws the link up, and everybody starts playing, like, kind of thing. Like,
like right from that get go.
I don't think that does very good for your viewership because you're sending everybody in a different direction. But I mean, it's a cool idea, I guess.
I think that kind of like talks about like demos. Like demos are going to be like way sweeter now. I think with like not right now, but as you know, the technology advances.
Yeah, isn't it funny? Okay, isn't it funny that like, you know, we say it and we're pretty critical of this, but like everybody says it. Like, yeah, it's not good like yet, but it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody really know that? I mean, like, I mean, yeah, I feel the same way, but like, does anybody like really know that? Like, what if they just never fucking nail it? Like, what if they can't fix the latency shit?
Yeah,
like, and
you never know, but you would like to think that they'd eventually figure it out, because like that's just like how humans work. We always figure out how to make shit better no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with that. That
Call
is
me
like
a boomer,
like what
but
we do.
good riddance.
Call me a boomer.
Yeah, this is probably pretty low down on the you know, the hierarchy of what we need to figure out until they can, you know, maybe it just requires more servers, or just rework how like where the game is being broadcast from kind of scenario. I don't know. Then I don't.
Why can't we just get
input lag
steady
going
60 FPS on like across all platforms for all games? Like, why don't we do that?
It's coming.
Like, do you ever try and go back and like, if you go back and play Destiny, I think Destiny's like 20 or maybe 32 FPS, like that it's capped there. And it's like watching a game in slow motion. Like, it's
sounds brutal.
Maybe the PC gamer in me has just become too snobbish, and I'm just, you know, got to look at that number in the top left corner. Like, oh, drop 5 frames. Oh.
That's probably it. Yeah. Elitist.
I've never looked at my frames, but go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I think there definitely are a lot of pros. It's just gonna take time for them to be able to be recognized, because there has to be advancements in technology and infrastructure. And I feel like I said that fucking 100 times, but that is literally that's like the hurdle right now, right? Like that's the thing that we can't get over. We can't say it's going to be good until we figure that out. Because if that doesn't get figured out, or if it doesn't get figured out for a while, it's just not going to be that good. It's not going to be optimal. It's not going to be better than having a nice PC with a good internet connection. You know what I mean? It's never gonna.
I feel like the pros are definitely outweighed by the cons. But the thing about the cons, like, this is the most interesting piece, I think, is that the thing about the cons are all potential cons.
Right.
Like, you're giving up your like consumer control, and like the companies could abuse it. Like, they could abuse it. Doesn't mean that they will. Like, if they don't abuse the power, and like everything's fine, and like they honor like the consumer, and the art form is respected, and everything's fine, then like you get the convenience. You get the convenience without the cons. But unfortunately, like we said at the beginning of this, where the companies in the running are Amazon, Google, Verizon, Walmart, EA, all the companies that you wouldn't want to run it. And that's why it's so scary, because you know they're going to have all the control. Yeah.
All the companies that already exploit everything else are.
Yeah, that's the shame. That's the real shame of it. Yeah.
And one more actual, I think, strong pro as well is you basically have like an unlimited hard drive. You don't need storage as much because you're streaming everything.
So, yeah. You said
it's not that big of a deal, but at least for like on an Xbox or something, if you download the games, you can only have like so many games downloaded before you have to start uninstalling things. So I think not so much for PC, but for console, I think that's a bigger deal, because like, you know what I mean? Usually you have like 500 gig hard drive or a terabyte hard drive on a console. And if you're downloading the games, like they take up a huge amount of space. You have, you know what I mean? On 500 gig, you have like 10 games, and like your cap. You have to get rid of something.
This is going to be really stupid. How large were the old like PS2 memory cards? Were they 8 gigabytes?
No, mega.
Or 8 mega? Yeah, they were 8. Yeah. They were 8 megs. That's what I thought. Okay, I didn't want that to be a stupid question. That is insane.
Yeah,
But
and you have
even-
like 30 game saves on there.
Yeah, does that not like blow your fucking mind?
Well, it's not the whole game. It was just a save file for the game, so it doesn't. You're not putting the
Oh,
whole
okay,
game
okay,
on the
okay.
card, so you couldn't run it off the card, right?
Oh,
So that's a
okay.
little
Maybe
different.
that's why it's not.
They were
I mean,
small. They're
yeah,
less than a
still pretty
gig
crazy.
games, like PS2 and stuff. But
Yeah, the days where you Psycho Manus was reading your memory
Oh,
card.
Whoa, Psycho Manus.
Well, and like back then, like you know what I mean, like the graphics and quality and like code needed and everything to do everything was a lot less too. So you didn't have to like, you know what I mean. You didn't need as much data because your graphic quality and interaction and stuff weren't as complicated. So you didn't need as much code or whatever your memory make everything work.
So Matt, you have on here that you think that prices will most likely be cheaper. Do you honestly think that they'll drop prices?
They'll be cheaper up front.
You think?
Yes.
Well, it's just like
I mean,
don't-
Stadia's model doesn't have it that way.
well, it still is cheaper up front. It's still cheaper than like if you were just trying to get into gaming and you were faced with like, do I want to buy, I don't know, anything like a PS4 and pay $300, $400, and then buy games, or I want to buy Stadia and pay 130 and then 10 a
You
month.
mean the all-around gaming experience like package will be cheaper?
Yeah.
We can hope.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about like, do you think they'll drop the price of games just because we're not getting hard copies and stuff anymore?
Well, I think games will eventually all be free.
I agree with that.
Very strongly. Like I would almost bet my life on that.
Right.
So.
But all
Like that's
subscription.
or like how I mentioned before, like it's gonna keep shifting towards microtransactions and other kind of cosmetic transactions and esports rev. You know what I mean? They're gonna get revenue like in other ways that aren't the traditional like buy my game kind of way.
Like
Whether
all
it
the
be-
ways that you never want to pay for, yeah.
Right,
So-
exactly. Microtransactions, esports revenue through advertising or sponsorships or whatever. You know, additional content. I mean, you see a lot of that stuff now.
Yeah.
But it's gonna keep going that way more and more and more and more.
Hold on to your hardware, boys.
Yep. Don't let go. Upgrade as soon as you can. Always have the best stuff. Don't get left out in the cold.
I'm gonna have to go bitch at my dad again for throwing that Sega Genesis away.
Oh yeah, mine's gone too. Cause my dad kept telling me like, don't put it on. We had this big screen projector TV. It was like a 64-inch. It was awesome. Like it was so cool for its time. My dad kept telling me like, don't hook up the Sega to the projector. Like it can't run video games. You're gonna blow the screen out. And I kept saying like, it's not gonna blow the screen out. Like it's fine. And I played it on there for months. It was Sonic and Knuckles. One day I was playing, it just blew that fucking TV to pieces. That thing never worked again. Right in the middle of my playthrough. It was hilarious.
it doesn't even make sense how.
Yeah, it's a riot. I know. But let's jump down to the first news story of the day, and this keeps us in the cloud gaming sector. I think this is a good place to start. So Amazon's cloud gaming service could arrive next year. The company has been hiring for a new AWS gaming initiative that falls under its currently existing AWS team. A principal product leader and recent listing for engineers that would work on cloud games are some of the job openings that are there currently. There have been rumors that Amazon plans to integrate this new service with Twitch, which we just kind of touched on a little bit, just as Google plans to do with Stadia and YouTube. And here's a quote from, I don't have a name here, somebody at Amazon, I presume. We believe the evolution that began with arcade communities a quarter at a time, growing to the live streams and esports of today, will continue to a future where everyone is a gamer and every gamer can create, compete, collaborate, and connect with others at massive scales. So I think that kind of hints at like where they're thinking that this is going. AWS already powers a lot of popular games like Fortnite, and it is an obvious position to try their hand at this. What do you guys think? I actually think that of any of the companies that we listed in our like prior conversation, Google, EA, Walmart, Verizon, maybe even Valve, like the companies that are looking at cloud gaming right now, I think that like Amazon might be the one that I think could actually pull the fucking thing off.
Why do you say that? Do you think
I
they'll
think
pull
because
it off?
AWS already like does a lot with hosting games. I think that like they're used to the server loads, and I think they have a lot of that already built out. I don't know that they really understand gaming very well. I think they're probably just like Google, but they do have Twitch.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I guess
So-
you got to start somewhere, right? I mean, it feels a little uneasy, just like we kept talking about, like any of these people getting on board with this right now and deciding they're going to take it, to the level of the future of video games, because this is important to us. I don't know. I mean, what kind of? I guess I don't know enough about AWS.
I guess let me
to
clarify.
say.
I don't want Amazon to be the one that gets it right, because I don't really like any of the companies that are our choices right now. I would probably pick Valve, like you were saying in the
Me
beginning
too.
of the show. If I had to pick anybody to win, it would probably be Valve. But I think that Amazon, I don't know, Amazon's just impressive. They've grown very quickly. Like everything that they seem to try their hand in, they seem to just win the market. I don't know how the hell they do it, but they do it.
They do very well.
I just really hope that they continue this trend to crossplay. Like we're just starting to get crossplay among consoles and PCs. Like just like there's like what left? You can count them on one hand probably. And now
Games that do crossplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is just going to be another reset because all these new companies are in here and they don't want to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you get like
the dough.
Fortnite, you don't want to let Google's streaming service have Fortnite 2 to be able to play with the people, so that you want obviously to have the Amazon version of it.
Do you think that
ties more into that exclusivity thing, and you can just keep going and going and going with that?
Do you think that consoles are going to let services like Stadia and Amazon's service like on their platforms? Like, do you think that like they're going to let you download an app for Stadia, or I guess you could just open it up in a browser, but like do you think that they're going to have limitations around you using that service because it is in like direct competition with?
They're making their own, so why would they ever want that? Seems really counterproductive.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I feel like they probably wouldn't let that happen, right?
The almighty dollar, I guess, will decide. I don't know, but
the universal language, as Dave always says.
I mean, Microsoft has Mixer, Amazon has Twitch. There's already so much competition there. Growing competition, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why is Verizon getting into it though?
I don't know. Why is Walmart getting into it? I guess because they just have a shit ton of cash.
They're doing good with that. You can order your groceries and then go pick them up. So,
I saw Giant Eagle
trying
on that too.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to, take that past experience and, lay it out on cloud gaming and see what happens.
Can I change my vote
to Walmart
for who the winner could be?
No, votes are all final. I'm sorry.
Damn it! Fuck. I think just like another point on this story of Amazon joining, I think that when Google started doing this, I thought like, okay, I need to start taking the possibility of cloud streaming a little bit more seriously, because there's obviously something here that I'm not seeing. And I don't know if that's super true just because of the way that we've seen Stadia release. But I think seeing Amazon come in and say like, hey, we're going to have a service ready next year, I think it shows me that it's even just way more serious than I even thought it was when Google was starting up. Like this just adds like a whole nother layer of corporatism and like big league players.
Yeah, they really pushed it into like second gear here, man. It's like really ramping up. I mean, everybody's gonna have to get something out within the next 2 years now, it seems like, or it's gonna be like irrelevant. Unless you're Nintendo, because Nintendo, they can literally do whatever they want. And totally
honestly,
fine. They're like immune to everything that happens around.
Props to fucking Nintendo, though. You really gotta give Nintendo a lot of credit.
Yeah,
because like, and it feels like they beat you over the head less too. Like they're, it just, you know what I mean? It just seems like
not Isabel.
It seems like they're less dicks about everything. Like they don't try to rake you over the coals as much as everybody else.
Unless there's copyright involved, and then they're after you. Big.
Gotta protect those Pokemon, bro.
Let's talk about some Pokemon.
Let's talk about Pokemon. Why don't we jump into that? Thanks for the segue, Dave. I really appreciate you.
Unintended, but
Pokemon Sword and Shield have become the fastest selling Switch games to date. After 1 week, the games have sold 6 million copies worldwide. The games also took 3 of the top 10 sales spots last week. This blew my fucking mind. Sword came in at number 1, Shield came in at number 3, and a promotional pack of both games came in at number 9. When was the last time we saw something like that? Probably the last time Pokemon came out. It's also reported that with the release of the games, Nintendo Switch hardware sales spiked up 30%. And another just fucking awesome fact, the core entries of the Pokemon series have now sold 240 million copies worldwide. I can't even wrap my head around it. It's nuts. And like I sometimes forget how popular Pokemon still is. Because like I said on the other show, like I'm fucking 28 now. I just not that into it, but I forget that like as they come out with each new iteration and the new Pokemon, like this is still a series that like just everybody loves.
It's really good. It's a really good game. Can I say something that's like absolutely insane about Pokemon?
Yes.
It's really only hit me right now that
Go.
They got to be the only ones, and nobody says a word about it. It was like totally cool that they when they release a game, there's 2 of them, and they offer different things, and even now they have different like gym leader battles than before.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's how different they're getting. No one bats an eye, and I mean it's number 9 on the games list. They buy both of them. I mean,
everyone's just like, well, take another $60. I guess.
They're like, oh, it's Pokemon, man. Like that's the point. Like you can't catch all of them with one game. That would be too easy.
I love it. Look at Overwatch, the Overwatch 2 announcement. Like they're getting so much shit for coming out with a new game that isn't like completely new. It's like tied into the original. People are like losing their minds.
Yeah. I don't even play the game. I'm losing my mind. I'll buy this Pokemon though. Yeah, I'm loving this shit.
Did you buy it? You said you were.
Yeah, I got Sword.
No, him. I know you.
Oh, he got it.
Is it worth the $60 or what? Because
no. Did you buy Death Stranding?
I need to get it.
Did you buy Death Stranding yet?
I have a PlayStation.
Yeah, but you were talking about it.
I actually might buy Sword and Shield tonight.
I need it. I don't know if I should get it or not.
Would you mind buying me a copy?
I mean, I'm on afternoons next week. I could probably dig in pretty well. You know, level them up, get myself.
Dave, can you donate to the Patreon and send me some money?
All right, it's really good. This is the first time I'd say I've played a Pokemon game and like actually wanted to try and like complete the Pokédex and stuff because they're like running around and shit. Like it's fun.
That I gave up on Pikachu and Eevee when we got to Mewtwo because I guess a lot of people were catching Mewtwo because there's a co-op mode, and Mewtwo's so fucking hard that you need to have a second person there to help you beat him.
Wow!
And it's not even like you got to beat him; you got to like just catching him. You know, like throw your bait or whatever, and then he'll run away, and you have to load a save for him there because he like takes time to come back. And it's rough, man. And I never even finished it. I was just like, yeah, fuck Mewtwo. I'm done with this. Like, I never went back.
Yeah, Mewtwo can only read one mind at a time. That's his weakness.
So I guess you're right.
It makes a lot of sense with the lore.
I will say you're talking the catching Pokemon in this one, like it's not quite as easy as I remember it, like back in the day. Like they make it a little
A B.
Mine was up B, and then you let go when the ball went out.
I was a whole down A guy.
Down to A.
Yeah.
You guys, did you ever catch?
The way to go.
Did you ever catch anything, or did you just use your starter the whole time?
I got all 150. Where are you?
I got all 150. Where are you?
That's how you turn the Pokeball into a Master Ball. You just hold down A.
Pokemon Blue, bro. Show some fucking respect.
Yeah, I got all 150 on Blue.
Okay.
Red was the first one I owned, though.
I never had red. I went blue, yellow. Yeah, blue, yellow, silver.
Yeah, I had blue, yellow, silver as well, and my brother had red, yellow, gold. We were
Believe it or not, my brother was so obsessed with Pokemon at the time that my mom, and this is like when like eBay came out and was hot, you know, like everybody was on. And she got the Japanese green version for my brother on Game Boy. So we had red, blue, and it was a gray cartridge, and it had Japanese lettering on it. And Venusaurs on it.
Was it in Japanese?
Yeah. All the Pokemon had different names and everything.
That's cool.
Very interesting.
I didn't touch it because I couldn't read anything.
Yeah.
8 years old.
Do you remember I had those Japanese games?
Matt can help you out now.
Send it over. Yeah, I can help you. My Japanese
Still
lessons are
got a
going.
Game Boy, or do I gotta give you that too?
I have the solid purple Game Boy Color, like everybody's dream was.
Mine was
The
see-through.
Subway batteries, bro.
Yep. Let's stick to the Pokemon convo here. Jump down to the fact that the Pokemon Company is filing a lawsuit against the leakers who leaked the Pokédex, and we talked about this story last week. Defendants posted pictures of trade secrets from the unreleased strategy guide on Discord on November 1st, and basically it showed the Pokédex, what Pokemon were in the game and what Pokemon were not in the game, and people in the Pokemon community were not happy. The in-game video leaks were posted shortly after the photos and were quickly trending across the U.S. The Pokemon Company is seeking compensatory
Yeah.
damages.
Yeah,
Wow,
compensatory.
sorry about that, everyone. Wrongful conduct, monetary relief, punitive and exemplary damages,
I'm learning a new language.
and injunctive relief. Yeah, I should master English before I go Japanese. I'm giving up on English. I'm moving to a whole new one. Although the identity of the three leakers is still unknown. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I think it's kind of crazy, but I also kind of think that like it's a little bit deserved. Like that kind of ruined like the fucking game for a lot of people. I mean, I hope that they're not like thrown in prison for like on a life sentence or anything, but
Goddamn data miners, man. Shit.
Well, it sounds like were these people that were allowed access to it? Like,
They think that from what I saw on the
Paints a
article is
picture.
they thought that at first, some people were under the assumption that I think that it was within the company, but I mean, you almost think it would have to be though. But they said that like they were like super quick to jump on it and start asking for takedown notices and everything. So
yeah,
seems a little fishy to me. I'm not.
it almost seems like there was obviously there's people that get to play the game and stuff beforehand, like privy to the knowledge, and they'd probably tell other people or give that information out and say, hey, like don't tell anybody, and they told
I heard
people.
that they were actually going to be filming this like in almost like a mockumentary style, and it was going to be the plot for Detective Pikachu 2. I don't know if you heard any cadence to this or if those rumors are true, but
Ryan Reynolds.
yeah, you haven't seen him working on much lately, right?
I wonder if Nintendo's going to 2K Games or Gearbox looking for those private investigators they got to go.
Oh, yeah, Borderlands.
We need a reference, please.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
funny, very funny.
I'm happy about that though. I wouldn't mind seeing these people get like really, at least rattled a
lock
little
'em.
bit.
Lock them up, dude.
Just
That's
mess it,
just shitty,
push them around a little bit,
Yeah, sure.
Shake them.
Teach them a
'em up.
lesson. Rough them up.
It's just
All right,
a
let's jump-
shitty thing to do, yeah.
It is a shitty thing to do.
Let's jump down to the last news story of the day. Google Stadia promotes a gender-neutral controller. Say goodbye to the sexist controllers of old and get with the program. I'm totally not kidding. This is an actual selling point that they're pushing for the service. I've actually seen it talked about like as like a reason to buy Stadia. And it may be the actual like only selling point that they have because they seem to have nothing else. But here's a quote from the Google VP and head of Stadia, Phil Harrison. Some of our historical competitors in the console space have been a bit more masculine and a bit more mechanical in their approach. So you can see they did their research. They're coming out with the controller that is really for everybody here. And the controller comes in 3 colors, white, black, and wasabi, which the wasabi one is really the true gender neutral option. The white and the black, no. It's all about the wasabi. And here's a quote from the Google Director of Design, Isabel Olsen. Both men and women gravitated towards this color. She praised the fact that it ended up being super gender neutral, not just gender neutral. It's super gender neutral, but still really expressive as it's really, really hard to find colors like that. Google has also explicitly stated that the controller is made for small and large hands. So it's, again, super usable for a large segment of gamers that aren't always appreciated.
Okay.
All right, I got
just-
something I need to get on. Okay,
Go ahead,
you
yeah, go
first.
ahead. I
As somebody who played
Takes
the
lotion.
original Xbox, okay, I can appreciate a smaller controller.
Oh,
my God,
here we go.
that
Oh.
controller was a behemoth, you know. So
I
that
thought
being
you were gonna
said,
say something cool. That's
they did make mini controllers. So like it's not like this is the first fucking time that they've made a smaller controller for any particular console. Mad Catz Minis. I had it. Greg Hastings paintball. I needed that turbo trigger. You know, had to buy it.
They're acting like they reinvented the fucking wheel here. They painted the goddamn controller like
They
a
did
light
their
green.
research. No, they did their research.
bro. One question. If anybody can answer it, I'll literally give you all my money.
I'll try my best.
How the fuck is a controller have anything to do with gender in any shape or form?
Well, did you see that it's wasabi?
Yeah, both men
What
and
does
women
that mean?
gravitated
That doesn't
towards
mean
that color,
anything.
man.
They gravitate towards the color, Dave.
You're
Hold
just
on,
not
hold
woke
on.
enough.
You guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
Super. Where's he going?
It's going to grab a controller.
Oh, he's definitely gonna get something. Yeah.
Do you know what I couldn't stop thinking about was the Always Sunny lawyer with the hands thing? Like,
Oh my gosh.
does this
yeah, that's
controller make my
hilarious.
hands look too small?
What? How is this
Nah,
related to a
dude.
gender?
Nah, dude. You
What
know,
is
some
this? Look at it.
somebody
Look at
posted.
it.
Somebody posted on
Look at
Reddit.
it.
Somebody posted on Reddit. Bro,
It's
get
a
that,
fucking piece of plastic. It can't be.
get that controller dick out of my face, dude.
You're
I don't wanna
getting
see
dick
that.
all on all that.
Somebody was
I just don't understand.
somebody posted on Reddit like to a comment of this story that the N64, they always thought that the N64 just had 3 handles, but that it was obviously a very hung male controller and the rumble pack was just for its pleasure.
Oh my god.
It's all so clear.
Did you watch the video of them like using the controller and like talking about it? The guy's like, yeah, it's for like big hands and small hands. Like he's like making like a nice like meal for everybody. Like it looks like a cooking show at first. It's right on the article. It's hilarious.
I wonder
didn't
if he's
watch it, no.
ever actually played a game.
Oh, they play. Oh, they show them playing with it. A guy and a girl. The girl looks very comfortable with, you know, less masculine controller. I would say she really appreciates.
And that type of
They've
gamer was never appreciated before. Because we
Yeah.
all know that girls could never use their normal controllers.
No, they're not normal. They're masculine.
I'm sorry. The masculine.
Dick.
The masculine.
just-
Set. We all know that.
Fucking jerk.
That's fact.
It's like Josh said, like that with the Xbox, the giant Xbox controllers. Like those weren't made for anybody other than big, strong, burly men with massive, massive hands.
I mean, even as a kid trying to navigate that fucking thing was rough, you know.
That was a brutal controller. Yeah, you're right. That was a horrendous control.
What about the people that have no hands?
God. Don't even like let's just
Well,
not even go there.
I'm just
He's being inclusive. Let
I'm
him.
trying to include everybody because
Well, what about Rocky No Hands or whatever on Twitch?
yeah, sure he can't use the wasabi controller either, right?
No, he used that thing where he blows in little tubes.
Mm.
Are they wasabi painted?
Yeah, now we need a we need
We
one
need
that's
Nintendo
inclusive
we need Nintendo to send some detectives down here.
disable
We-
people.
We need everybody to wake the fuck up. And stop being so stupid.
No,
Stop
but
worrying about paying controllers wasabi and make a good game. You fuck.
Well, I guess
what
the
fuck.
good
voting
thing
this
is
controller is being woke.
the good thing is I've only seen a ton of backlash to this. I haven't seen one person say like, yeah, this was a really good.
Yeah, because nobody's that damn dumb.
Well, I'm just saying there could have been people that were like, oh yeah, it's great to be inclusive with the controller because like that's just how people are. I didn't see that anywhere. Even on like the super liberal subreddits and like the more places where you would expect to see
Yeah,
that, I didn't
because-
see it.
Calling that a stretch is like being generous.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
It's a fucking piece of fucking plastic.
What went on in like Stadia HQ when they came up with that?
Take a deep breath, Dave.
I can barely breathe. Like what?
I can't barely breathe.
Well, do you know how out of touch that makes them sound? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the current, climate on gender and everything else is pretty, I don't know, is volatile the right word? It's pretty all over the place, can be pretty up and down, but dude, people are making fun of them for like the boomer thing. Like this is some This is some boomer shit. Like, look at our gender neutral controller. Now you can feel.
Yeah,
really
this is like the
comfortable
new boomer shit. Like everybody is
Yeah.
over this fucking garbage.
Yeah.
And they're still pushing it, and they will for like the next 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, they love it. Yeah.
Like they came to the party like a little too late. If this came out like a year or two ago, maybe this would have been like
Could have been a success.
yeah, some hot shit.
I see it,
Spicy
Dave.
wasabi.
I'll show you a shitty controller.
Okay.
This fucking pile of garbage right here.
Mm.
That's a shitty controller.
I'll show you the shittiest controller.
Those are awfully masculine.
Damn, dude.
I
Those
fucking
is it?
hate
I
my
missed
key- I
fucking
hate my
plastic you
keyboard,
have.
bro.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, well, your game's coming out. Everyone's saying controller's the way to go, so you can breathe a sigh of relief.
In all fairness, it's a nice color though. I do like the wasabi green controller.
Oh, Matt, before we end the show,
Yes.
everyone's calling for a Halo delay.
Why? I thought Reach was
the
announced
gaming
December 3rd.
community- Yeah, the community is asking for a delay.
Why? Is it not ready?
I don't know. Maybe we should make that a topic for next week.
Maybe we should make that a topic for next week. I haven't heard about it. I hope it doesn't get delayed. I'm ready. We're making videos on
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay. Thank you for
Find
listening,
out
as
next
usual.
time on-
Yeah, find out next time on Arcadian Insight. Thanks for listening. If you listen to these on Spotify and iTunes, check out our YouTube for our gaming videos and the live VODs of the show. Check out my Twitter at Arcadian Matt I think there's still time to get into our BlizzCon 2019 giveaway for exclusive figures and pins and badges. Also consider joining our Discord. You know, you can play games with us, hang out, talk about news, you know, and kind of get our take on some things before the show goes live. But yeah,
Everyone
thanks so much
talk.
again, and we will see you next week. Thank you.